Major Hurricane Ian is forming across the western Caribbean and is moving across western Cuba into the Gulf of Mexico over the next couple of days and has its sights set on western Florida, perhaps the Tampa Bay area, as we head into Wednesday or Thursday. So that will be something we'll be tracking on this video for you guys here. Welcome back to another Weather on the Go weather forecast where you get all your weather coverage. Thank you guys so much for joining me here this Tuesday morning. If you guys are new to the channel, definitely consider hitting the subscribe button down below and the notification bell to get all of my daily weather forecast updates on this channel. We cover North America, Canada, and the tropics. We cover all of this here on this channel. Looking currently at Hurricane Ian, very much so a very powerful hurricane across the western Caribbean as it crosses into western Cuba, and this will continue to move northward into the eastern Gulf of Mexico over the next couple of days, and ultimately has its sights set on western Florida as we head into tomorrow and especially into Thursday here. Looking at the current alerts out there, we have those hurricane warnings hoisted for western Cuba. We got tropical storm warnings for central Cuba. We also have tropical storm warnings for portions of the Florida Keys all the way up into southwestern Florida. But western Florida up toward the Tampa Bay area, we actually have hurricane warnings currently in effect there. And we definitely have to watch out for some more hurricane impacts farther up the coast there as well into northwestern Florida perhaps, with tropical storm watches and hurricane watches there as well. So look at kind of a little bit of a refresher for you guys. A tropical storm watch and warnings here. What is the difference? A tropical storm watch here is conditions are favorable within the next 48 hours for a tropical storm impacts with tropical storm winds, tropical rains. But tropical storm warnings means conditions are expected within the next 36 hours with sustained winds usually between 39 and 73 miles per hour. Now looking at the hurricane watches versus a hurricane warning, a hurricane watch means that conditions are possible with wind gusts of 74 miles per hour or higher within the next 48 hours, but a hurricane warning, which is what we have in Tampa Bay and parts of the western Florida, that means conditions are expected to deteriorate with winds of 75 miles per hour or higher within the next 36 hours. So that, yeah, we're 36 hours out or less from impacts across western Florida as we head into the middle of this week. Looking at the official National Hurricane Center cone of uncertainty here, it does strengthen quickly into a major hurricane status. We are only 1 mile per hour away from a Category 3. A Category 3 is officially 111 miles per hour. We're at 110 miles per hour right now, sustained winds. This is moving to the north-northwest at 13 miles per hour, so a very formidable hurricane moving across western Cuba, and it's only a matter of time before it moves over to those warm waters in the eastern Gulf of Mexico before it strengthens to a Category 4 hurricane across those areas before slowly weakening as it moves here into western Florida. And then as it moves farther to the north across the Carolinas or somewhere across the southeast, it will weaken back to a tropical storm and then a tropical depression by that point as we get towards late this week and into this weekend. And again, looking at its intensity, we have a lot of warm waters across the Gulf of Mexico and the Caribbean, so it's no surprise that even if it crosses over western Cuba, over some parts of land, that it's still going to maintain a very strong structure with that eye wall there and really strong feeder bands around the outside of this storm. It's a massive hurricane, so you're already seeing rainfall up into southern Florida right now, and that will continue here through the next several days. Looking at its intensity, however, it will get into Category 3 strength in short order and then eventually Category 4 strength before it makes landfall somewhere in western Florida, perhaps near the Tampa Bay area, before slowly weakening back to a Category 2, a Category 1, and ultimately back to a tropical storm as it moves farther inland into portions of Florida and the southeast. But the Saffir-Simpson scale, this is the scale that we use to, measure the winds there. Yeah, Category 3, 111 miles per hour to 129 miles per hour. The damage impacts from this could be devastating here, but we do expect this to strengthen to a Category 4 with 130 to 156 miles per hour, with catastrophic damage possible here just off the coast there of Florida and perhaps closer toward the Tampa Bay area before it slowly starts to weaken. So that is something to watch. And looking at the tropical storm force winds, kind of the probabilities of the tropical storm force winds out there here extending farther out from the eye wall, this will be a very impactful storm across most of Florida. Don't get caught up on the eye wall where the eye does, make landfall, whether it makes landfall on Tampa Bay or a little farther south toward Fort Myers or a little farther north, don't get caught up on the eye wall. There's going to be tropical storm force impacts across most of Florida, especially across the peninsula region. A little lesser impacts across portions of far northwest Florida, but still have to watch that here. Any deviation in this track the next couple of days will ultimately determine that, but it looks like central Florida is in the bullseye as we head in towards the next couple of days. So let's track this here using a couple of our computer forecast models. You can see a 964 millibar powerful hurricane just to the southwest of Florida over the open waters of the Gulf as we head into this afternoon. This will propagate northeastward here eventually towards the Tampa Bay area as we head towards Wednesday, sometime Wednesday afternoon or Wednesday evening, as a 957 millibar low there just off the coast, according to the European forecast model, and then ultimately making landfall somewhere towards central or north central Florida as a 989 millibar system, which would be still a strong tropical storm, if not a Category 1 hurricane by that point as we head into Thursday. And then as we kind of move in towards Friday, this will start to become a little bit more of a kind of a post-tropical depression and kind of more of a tropical depression with lesser impacts farther to the north, but still a lot of rainfall across portions of the Carolinas and Georgia, especially southeastern Georgia. If you live in the Savannah, Georgia area, back down towards Jacksonville Beach, Jacksonville there in northern Florida, we definitely could have some heavier rainfall as we head into Friday. Looking, however, at the winds, again, looking at the European forecast model, you can see the storm takes it right along the Tampa Bay area, or just to the west of Tampa Bay. But in comparison, the GFS is just a little bit farther to the west, just by about 50 to 75 miles. Now, if that is the case, lesser impacts for the Tampa Bay area, but still going to have the storm surge. We're still going to have the onshore flow, but the eye wall itself will still remain off the coast there of Florida. Now, in comparison, again, using the GDPS model, which is a Canadian forecast model, again, a lot farther offshore, even farther west than the GFS, which again would place that eye wall a little bit farther west here, which would make the lesser impacts initially for the Florida area as we get into Wednesday and Thursday. But looking at the storm surge here, this is going to be a big story. We got storm surge all up and down the coast here of Florida, whether you live in northwestern Florida here away from the eye wall or you get a direct impact for landfall. We're going to be seeing a lot of storm surge here, starting around 1 to 3 feet up here towards portions of northwest Florida, around the Big Bend area, getting to about 2 to 4 feet here into northwest Florida there, getting all the way down just to the north of Tampa Bay, around 5 to 8 feet. And this is, again, guys, above normally dry ground. This is how much water you can expect. This is what storm surge is. And down toward the Tampa Bay area, worst case scenario as we see it now would be a 5 to 10 foot storm surge across those areas, including Tampa Bay proper, and then getting down there towards portions of Fort Myers, Naples, and then getting down in towards southern Florida and the Florida Keys, anywhere from 4 to 7 feet, and then down to about 2 to 4 feet. So still, that's above normally dry ground. That is a lot of water to overcome. So that is something to watch as we get into the next couple of days. What are the impacts of storm surge here? That's a good question, and the question is answered as large areas covered with deep water due to storm surge flooding. You could have structure damage here to buildings, houses, stuff like that. They could also become washed away depending on how much storm surge you could have, especially up toward the Tampa Bay area with 5 to 10 feet of storm surge above normally dry ground. That is very impactful. Some locations could become uninhabitable for an extended period of time. Definitely a possibility. That would be a worst case scenario. A large section of roads could be washed out or severely flooded. That is also in play. And major damage to marinas, docks, boardwalks, and piers are definitely likely with this storm as it moves closer towards western Florida. And again, refresher for you guys, storm surge watch means the possibility is there for life-threatening inundation here from rising water above normally dry ground within a 48-hour period here, which would follow the evacuation guidelines. But storm surge warnings are more dangerous because that means life-threatening storm surge and inundation of water rising above normally dry ground is imminent within the next 36 hours. So that would be dangerous here if you are under a storm surge warning. So definitely know the difference between a storm surge watch and a storm surge warning for your area. Looking, however, we also have another impact, and that's some very heavy rainfall. Again, we have the winds, we have the storm surge with the the onshore flow and the very strong winds, the strong rainfall rather, we have precipitable water values here approaching 3 inches, guys. 3 inches across western Florida, and that is almost off the charts. So that will be providing lots of rainfall rates, anywhere from 1 to 3+ inches as we head into western Florida around the Tampa Bay area, Fort Myers, Naples, especially where that eye wall is. That's where you can see the most intense convection and thunderstorm activity and the strongest rainfall rates as well. So currently projected here, these are the rainfall totals expected across Florida and the southeast. You can see with that eye wall expected near and just maybe to the north of the Tampa Bay area, we could be expecting in that purple shading color here into western Florida up to around 15 inches of rain. Yeah, that's not a misprint, guys. 15 inches of rain, and even a darker purple shading here down closer toward the northern end of Tampa Bay. That's approaching 20 inches of rain, guys. That's getting close to 2 feet, and that's also that's also separate from storm surge. You have the rainfall from the storm itself, but then you got the storm surge from the Gulf of Mexico and the Atlantic. So that would be something as well to keep in mind. Oh, even over toward the Orlando area, Jacksonville, up toward Tallahassee, anywhere from 6 to 10 inches possible there. Again, back toward Tallahassee, we might have a little less rainfall between 2 and 4 inches, but still, no matter how you slice it, the entire southeast is going to have lots of heavy rainfall, even up toward the Carolinas and Savannah, Georgia, with about 2 to 6 inches of rain expected across those areas as we head through the next couple of days. And that's why the Weather Prediction Center has hoisted a moderate risk of excessive rainfall for south central Florida, including Miami Beach, getting over toward Key West, the Fort Myers and Naples area today into tomorrow. That will spread northward across central Florida, the Orlando Universal Studios area, getting up toward Jacksonville here, Tampa Bay, especially if that eye wall does come in play here across western Florida as we head into tomorrow into Thursday. And then again, on Thursday into Friday, another moderate risk for excessive rainfall with flash flooding likely across north central Florida and extreme southeastern portions of Georgia as well as we head into your Thursday and Friday. So definitely want to be on the lookout for that. And again, more impacts. We have the potential for tornadoes with this system. Usually on the eastern side of these systems, as they first make landfall, we definitely have to watch out for some spin-up tornadoes. The Storm Prediction Center has a marginal to slight risk for severe weather with damaging winds, obviously, but tornadoes definitely in play here as well across south central Florida in the yellow shaded color. That's where you could have 5% shading there of tornadoes as we head into today, into Tuesday, and the Wednesday time frame. So that will be something to watch as we move into Wednesday and Thursday. Again, we have that time frame of where we could have more tornadoes with a slight risk across more of central Florida there toward Orlando, Tampa Bay, getting farther south. Another 2 to 5% shading there of tornadoes as we head toward Wednesday, Thursday time frame, and then still a slight risk across portions of east central Florida, again including the Orlando area as we head into Thursday and into Friday, with probably another 2 to 5% shading for tornadoes at that time. But looking overall at the rest of the United States, this is really the only game in town, guys. That we just have a Hurricane Ian, major Hurricane Ian across portions of the southeast. That will be the big weather story over the next couple of days. Really dry across the center of the country. We might have some rainfall here coming up late this week across the northwestern Rockies and maybe an active pattern setting up across southwestern Canada, but just generally some garden variety showers and storms up there. No severe weather to note. Maybe some heavier rainfall off the coast there of Lake Erie and portions of the Great Lakes up there in the western and upstate New York. That could be something to watch with maybe some heavier rainfall locally there of up to 2 to 4 inches. But again, a lot of the heavy rainfall will be across the southeastern United States through the next couple of days. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please take everything seriously and be safe out there. Remember to like this video by giving it a thumbs up down below and leave any comments, questions, and concerns below as well. And subscribe to the YouTube channel, guys. Turn on all notifications. I will be going live later on this afternoon and tonight to keep you ahead of all of the dangerous weather with Hurricane Ian out there. Definitely turn on all notifications so you guys can get that live stream later on today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great Tuesday out there, everybody. Again, remain safe and be smart out there with the hurricane. And definitely, I'll see you guys in the next video.